processus vaginalis. What are the anomalies of the processus vaginalis, which is very important clinically, surgically. Now this is how the processus vaginalis is helping the testis during in descent. This is the position when it starts the descent. Then within the descent, this is how it is invaginated in the tunica vaginalis. Ultimate, this is the position. The peritoneal cavity is separated from the tunica vaginalis, that is the processus vaginalis, and that forms a covering of the testis at the visceral layer and the parietal layer of the testis. This is ultimately is the fate of the processus vaginalis, that it will form the tunica vaginalis and forms as a covering of the testis. Now if the processus vaginalis is persistently present, then what is happening? It is not closed itself from the peritoneal cavity. Now first we will see the congenital hernia and the congenital hydrocele. The devingular ring, which is wider in mouth, and so indirect inguinal hernia occurs because intestinal loop enters through it. That is the congenital hernia that is seen in case of newborn. And the processus vaginalis is opened up, and so it is also filled up with the peritoneal fluid. So this is a congenital hydrocele which is seen in case of babies, newborn babies. Now this is vaginal hydrocele. This is seen in case of middle-aged or elderly people, that the processus vaginalis is separated from the peritoneal cavity, but between the two layers, that the visceral layer and the parietal layer of tunica vaginalis, fluids accumulates. This is normally in case of elderly patient and middle-aged patient. This is seen. This is called vaginal hydrocele. Now this is a parietal funicular hernia. Now the peritoneal cavity is separated from this processus vaginalis, but the intestinal loop enters to the devingular ring, and so we can palpate the hernial sac which is separated from this testis, which is at the lower pole, because this is closed at the level of the epididymis. So you can palpate the hernial sac separately from the testis that lies below the hernial sac. This is called funicular hernia. Now here let me tell you, if the hernia is between the two rings within the inguinal canal, that is called bubonosile. Okay, this is called bubonosile. Now coming out, this is infantile hernia. That means it is the tunica vaginalis is formed with the testis, but the processus vaginalis is supposed to be abolished, that is persistently present over here. An intestinal loop enters into it, and you can palpate these intestinal hernia sac with the three parietes of the abdominal parietes. So this is your called infantile hernia in case of newborn babies. This is called interstitial hernia. That means this hernia occurs, intestinal loop enters between the muscles of the abdominal wall, that is the external oblique and the transverse abdominis and the internal oblique. In between that the intestinal loop enters, and that causes the interstitial hernia. Coming to this hydrocele of the cord, which is otherwise called funicular hydrocele. This is the tunica vaginalis formed like itself, but over here this is how within the inguinal canal between the two rings the fluid accumulates, and this is called the hydrocele of the spermatic cord, which is otherwise called funicular hydrocele. This is infantile hydrocele, that the persistence of the processus vaginalis is there from the devingular ring filled to the scrotal sac, and the fluid accumulates within it. This is called infantile hydrocele. So these are the types of the anomalies which is seen in case of processus vaginalis, which is clinically very important. The patient come with this type of complaint of the symptoms, and he have to cure surgically with the knowledge of embryology, so that you can do the surgery appropriately. Okay.